To Edmonton, Joel Hofer, Jake Neighbors, or Alex Tessier, and the 19th overall pick. Edmonton gives up Victor Arvidsson, a second.
Hell yeah.
The rights to Bergeron and William Nichols.
Okay, my favorite part about this trade is the fact that Jake Neighbors and Tessier are like the same caliber of player.
My favorite part about this is that the Oilers package is not enough to get any one of these one of the three assets on St. Louis.
Not even close.
Not like Arvidsson, a second, the rights to a Russian, and a 6th round pick in William Nichols? Seventh round pick. That doesn't get you the 19th pick. That doesn't get you. It maybe gets you Tessier. It doesn't get you Neighbors, not even close, and it doesn't get you Hofer. So that one made me chuckle.
Before we continue on, my favorite part about some of these trades was the players I didn't know who they were. Mm-hmm. There was 2 or 3 of them whose names were in. I was like, who is that guy?
You know what? Let's just do all the bad ones. Okay. They're way more fun. We'll get to the good ones in a bit. Aaron, you can just rifle through them. Just flash them up and I'll read them. This next one. To Edmonton, Tom Wilson. To Washington, Arvidsson and Kane. Because if you have one great power forward, why wouldn't you trade him for 2 shittier power forwards?
That makes a lot of sense. The guy who drives the culture. But what if we had Kane?
Yeah.
And Arvidsson.
Someone, Grava, says, showing the names of the guys who suggested. Wow. They sent them in.
Yeah. Hey.
The tweet we put out literally said...
Hey, you can go read the tweets.
Yeah, we said we're going to go through them on the show. All right, next. Rasmus Anderson, 50% retained. Blake Coleman, 50% retained. And Connor Zary for Evan Bouchard and Matt Savoy.
Come on, William. That is brutal.
I don't know what his profile picture is. Maybe he's a Flames fan.
Has to be.
But
that is special.
So first off, I love Calgary retaining on the final 2 years of Coleman. Yeah. Why would Edmonton want him? Maybe. So this might be a Calgary fan. Edmonton giving up Evan Bouchard for an unsigned Rasmus Anderson, 33-year-old Blake Coleman, and pending RFA Connor Zary, and having to throw in Matt Savoy is great stuff. Mike D says, did you ask for mock trades or trades to mock? Tyler says RV is a power forward.
We got a bit of both.
I mean, he's good along the wall and he plays a relatively physical brand of game.
Whatever. He's a little
That's not what's funny about that fucking trade.
Yeah.
Next one we got.
That's not what...
I don't want to trade Bush, but this one will be tough to turn down, I think. Oilers get Dobson and Sorokin. Oilers give up Bush, Skinner, RV, Henrique, and a pick. I mean, the pick's probably got to be the 2027 first.
Well, why not?
Trades like this just don't happen.
No, they do not. I mean, if hypothetically the Oilers were to somehow get Sorokin and Dobson, then maybe something similar to this would be the option. But it's just not an option.
Yeah, that's not an option.
I hope these people are in the chat today.
I don't know why either side would do this. Like, if the Islanders are pulling shoot like that, it's because they're getting a shitload of picks and future assets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If Lamoriello was still in charge, you'd be like,
I also don't think the Oilers could afford. They could afford it. I'd been saying this for months and months. What? All right. One more in the bad pile. Stu Skinner for Philip Gustafsson.
Skinner's better.
Philip Gustafsson is coming off a season where he had a 914 save percentage, 256 goals against average, and finished, I believe, top 5 in Vezina voting. Minnesota's not trading him straight up for Stuart Skinner.
What did he have the year before?
Year before that was an 899 and a 306. Year before that, 931.
What about the year before?
Year before that, he was with the Senators and he was a rookie. So we're not going to.
Because I just mean like he's so inconsistent.
He's inconsistent, but he has a much higher upside than Skinner. They're not doing that trade.
No, they're not, and I'm not doing it either. Okay, lit him up last year.
Then there were a couple that I thought they actually made me think was the criteria for these ones. Jason Robertson for Matt Savoy, Bo Akey, and a first via an Ekholm trade. So you're freeing up the money for Robertson by trading Ekholm for a first-round pick. That probably ends this right here because Ekholm doesn't get you a first-round pick.
Yeah.
Injured 35, 36-year-old defenseman making $6 million, not even getting you close to a first-round pick. if you were selling me on a cap dump of Ekholm and then you're using your 27 first and trading Savoy and Aki, like that's actually probably somewhat right where the Jason Robertson value is. They probably want a good young actual roster player over Matt Savoy, so the Oilers would lose the bidding war. Also, all indications are the Robertson market isn't really a thing anymore. But I like that this guy took a swing like this and actually gave up meaningful assets.
Yeah, it's not the worst one we saw.
No.
I mean, you probably want to do something similar to that if you're the Oilers. Maybe try and limit one of the assets you give up. But if it comes from an Ekholm trade anyway, then it's a bit complicated.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sloppy.
Thank you, Sloppy. This one, bit of an overpay for a pick and retention. Oilers get John Gibson and a fourth from Anaheim, but they get Gibson at $2.5 million retained, so he goes down to $3.9 million. Oilers give up Arvidsson, Petrov, a second, and a third. This is actually really fair. The goalie market, I know Anaheim's asking for 2 firsts. They're not getting 2 firsts.
No.
They're not getting 1 first, really, I don't think. This might be the best offer Anaheim ends up getting for John Gibson. And it's actually very similar to the Markstrom deal.
It's similar to the Blackwood deal in a way as well.
It is actually very similar to the Blackwood deal.
I think they might have to upgrade the Petrov player, to be honest, because I don't think Petrov will ever be anything. But if you give them like a slightly better player than Petrov, which is a minuscule thing, then sure, I think you got something cooking there. They'll probably listen.
If this is what it took to get Gibson, I would have time for John Gibson.
Yeah, I would too. Yeah. I just think it'll be a bit more.
Yeah. Again, I felt like this was a really good, fair sort of trade sentence.
They thought about it.
Yeah, they thought about it. They have a good grasp on the value. This one gets like a good thumbs up from me.
Thank you, Ken Holland's frontal lobe.
Great stuff. What's the next one we got here? J.G. Pajot for Henrique Emberson and a third. So I actually think like value-wise and stuff, this is fine. The Islanders would probably just take Henrique then and flip him somewhere where he wants to go. Or they'd like send him back to New Jersey. I just don't think Pajot's an upgrade. I'm not interested in this one because $5 million Pajot having to move Emberson and a third, those assets can be better spent somewhere else. I don't like this one. Do you? I
like Pajot more than you do.
But are you doing this?
I don't think you need to put Henrique in this deal.
But I would say I don't want to put Emberson in there. I would debate Henrique in a third for Pajot if they kept the money to even it out. But even that,
if we're looking at like realistic though, like why would they want Henrique? They'd probably look at Emberson and be like, we have more interested in him. That's why I think if you do Emberson and say it's a second for Pajot.
It's kind of why I said they'd probably just flip Like if they're looking at this as we can flip Henrique, no, because they'll get something decent for Pajot. Yeah.
Yeah, they might get a first for Pajot if they just keep him till the deadline.
And keep 50% of them? Yeah. Absolutely. So, yeah, I don't think this really works on either end, but I understood the logic. Last one. Skinner, Arvidsson, and a third, and Boaki for Jeremy Swayman. So the money works. You're basically punting on Stu Skinner to sign up for 7 more years of Swayman at 8.25, but you believe he can be a starter. Arvidsson makes the money work. Boston gets a guy in Stu Skinner who they would, assuming they do this deal, they believe Skinner has upside. They get a third and another D prospect. I don't do this.
No.
But I think that like if you were to do like value, like how many value points is on each side, it's actually a fair deal, I think. I just don't do this.
No, I wouldn't do this. Swayman is such an interesting case. Like, why do you think this is fair? Like, why would the others do this?
Because they think Jeremy Swayman has legit starter upside. That's the only reason you do this. Because if you believe that Jeremy Swayman is a future, guy who's going to be top 5 in Vezina voting year after year and all of that, then you do this. If you don't believe that, then it's signing up for a potential albatross contract, and that's why I don't do it. I don't like the risk associated with Swayman because we know how inconsistent goalies are. I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I don't think I'd like to do this one either.
Like, even if it was Skinner straight up for Swayman, like, he's infinitely better. I agree with you. And I probably do it gun to my head. But Swayman's coming off a bad year, and if it doesn't get better, and there are examples of goalies who burst onto the scene and then fizzle out very fast.
Yeah, first time he's played over 50 games in his career as a legit starter, and he has the worst year of his career.
Yeah.
It was also Boston, and they had a terrible year. So it does change things. Swayman's good. There's a lot of risk associated to the move. I think he probably has better upside than Stu.
He does,
But
100%.
it's risky. I don't know. Again, the goalie market sucks this year. We're all going to be so pissed when they don't do anything.
I think people might be a little disappointed. People are telling me to stop. Boston would never do this. Like, never. I agree, because I don't think it's a realistic trade. I don't think they're realistic trade partners. We had Pagnotta on, and he said they explored this deal and went nowhere. Because I think they're probably very far apart on what Jeremy Swayman's value is. And they're also very far apart probably on what Stuart Skinner's value is. So,
I agree.
And someone, Dave, problem is you're stuck with Swayman for 7 years. Yeah, that's a tough thing to do. So, most likely Arvidsson gets traded for a third-round pick. I would want Swayman, but unfortunately Bruins say no. Yeah, again, I don't think a Swayman deal is realistic. Toblerus, I hope it's not Jake Allen. Buddy, I think you're going to be disappointed then. Because I'm not even saying it's going to be Jake Allen, but it might be someone who's worse than Jake Allen.
Yep. Get those Anton Forsberg jerseys out, folks.
What's up, Nation citizens? If you like that video, then you need to be subscribed to the Oilers Nation YouTube. Podcasts, live shows, exclusive interviews, and analysis. Everything you need from your favorite voices at Oilers Nation. And you don't want to miss any of it, so hammer that subscribe button.